Welcome to Courage on the Pitch, brought to you by Wake Orthopedics Urgent Care.
North Carolina champions again!
Here's Megan O'Keefe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Courage on the Pitch, presented by Wake Orthopedics Urgent Care. We are back at it with episode 4 of the podcast with a really awesome guest today. We've got Carson Pickett in the house, plus a special little surprise guest that you'll just have to stay tuned to hear from. But before we get to our conversation with Carson, let's do a little recap of the past week's events. And boy, was this past week quite eventful since our last episode. So I actually want to start off with the Olympics. Lots of excitement happening around the Olympics, positive and some would say negative results for some of our Courage players. So the quarterfinals happened last week where our girl Debinha and her Brazilian side played against Canada. And Deb played phenomenally, and this game was super intense. It actually went into PKs, and Deb made her PK. Woohoo, go Deb! But unfortunately, Canada ended up coming up big. Their goalkeeper, Steph LeBay, who actually used to be a Courage player, came up big, making 2 huge saves in PKs. So Canada went on to the semifinals, while Brazil ended up heading home. So we'll have Debinha back in our Courage lineup very soon. More quarterfinals that happened. U.S. faced off against Netherlands. So that was an exciting rematch of the 2019 World Cup. And for any of you who watched this game, I don't know if your heart palpitated as much as I did. I had a lot of caffeine, but this game was so stressful. So some of the highlights, Sam Mewis and Lynn Williams, our Courage gals, started in the starting lineup together, which is huge. And deservedly so, because they had such incredible performances in the game before. Lynn Williams scored a goal and had an assist in that game prior to, and Sam also scored as well. So I just think, biases aside, Lynn Williams has been the story of this Olympics. SparkNotes version, she was named an alternate, and then she was named to game lineups and a starting lineup, ended up scoring, having an assist. She has done an incredible job in these Olympics. So the U.S. ended up winning against Netherlands in overtime PKs, super stressful. So they went on to the semifinals against Canada and ended up, sad, losing 1-0 in that match. It just came down to one PK in the run of play. It was definitely the right call on Tierna Davidson, but she didn't mean it. She didn't mean it. But U.S. ended up losing, again, 1-0 there, and they do still have a medal to play for. So 4 a.m. on Thursday morning, if you were listening to this episode on Thursday, or if you happen to tune in before Thursday at 4 a.m., we will know if the U.S. is coming home with a bronze medal. They face off against Australia. And also on Thursday night, if you're listening to this on Thursday, the finals match, which is Canada versus Sweden, will be going down. Finals of the Olympics. We'll find out who wins gold there. So, let me take a little breather after that Olympics recap. So much. That all happened in 1 week. Crazy. So let's do a little recap of the Courage's last match. So last Saturday, Courage hosted the Orlando Pride, and both teams were obviously missing a couple of their star players while they're at the Olympics. So the game actually ended in a 1-1 draw. And we saw a goal from Brittany Radcliffe, who's one of the new players on the Courage. And this is her first goal of her Courage career. So that was really exciting for her, a big win for her in her books, I'm sure. And I just think that this time during the Olympics is so prime for players that might not often get as much playing time or starting time or limelight to really show what they've got. So that was a great example of Brittany Radcliffe stepping up, taking her opportunity. And we'll be sure to preview the next Courage game at the end of this episode. And lastly, our guys' side, our men's team, NCFC, they took on Fort Lauderdale last Sunday and had an exciting 3-2 victory over Fort Lauderdale with another 2 goals from Robbie Cristo. And he's the 3rd player in USL history to score 2 braces back-to-back in the entire history of the league. So NCFC kicks off again this weekend. Potentially, we could see another brace from Cristo. I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything here, but he will be the first player in history to do such a thing. So stay tuned for that. We'll preview their matchup later on in the episode. So the moment you've all been waiting for, we've got our interview with Carson Pickett coming up, and a little bit of background on Carson. She was born in South Carolina, but grew up most of her life in Jacksonville, Florida. And she decided to stay close to home and went to play for Florida State, where she won a national championship with them before being drafted 4th overall in 2016 to the Seattle Reign. She also played for the Orlando Pride, who we've obviously faced a couple times as the Courage. She went overseas to play in Cyprus for a bit and then landed with the Courage. So Carson tells us all about her journey as a professional athlete, as well as what it's like to be an advocate for limb difference awareness. She was born without her left forearm, and she just talks about how she's turned this into a really powerful opportunity to speak up for those who might feel different and just empower others who may have experienced something that she has gone through. So we will have our Carson Pickett conversation coming up right after this break.
Courage on the pitch, off the field.
All right, we got Carson Pickett in the house. We are on episode 4 now of Courage on the Pitch. I'm so excited to have Carson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So I just want to kick it off with this insane stat of yours. So you have started and played in all 12 Courage games so far, and you're actually 3rd in the league out of all the teams that have played 12 games in how many minutes you've played, which is 1,068 minutes. My question to you is, are you tired?
I was about to say, that's a lot of soccer.
Yeah, how does that make you feel when you hear that?
I mean, yeah, hearing that, I feel like it seems like it's a lot of soccer, but the team's awesome. Soccer is my favorite thing. So it's honestly just living the dream.
Yeah, you're like, I'll play as many minutes as you want.
Exactly.
Run, maybe not, but
Maybe relax a little, but I'll keep playing.
And also, looking at your numbers, you're also leading the league out of all the teams in number of corner kicks taken at 62 already. I don't know. Every time there's a corner, obviously we know Carson Pickett's on the ball, but how did that role kind of transform for you as being the designated corner kick and oftentimes, free kick taker?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my dad has been my coach forever. And so there's so many days that we would go out or after training or off days, and we would honestly just work on corner kicks and free kicks literally till the cows came home. Like it was crazy how much we worked on those things. And he said, if you have a gift, you just need to keep working on it and show everyone your talents. So that's something that I feel like I've always been pretty good at, was service and corner kicks and free kicks. So I'm just happy and lucky to have that role for this team.
Yeah, for anyone that's seen a couple Courage games so far, you guys have some really interesting plays for your set pieces that are like fooling me completely. Like you and Anharad James are on the ball. I'm like, who's going to take it? Who's going to take it? Like, no need to give away any secrets, but like, what are some of the conversations around those sort of set pieces? Is that a Paul Riley experiment, or is that something that comes from the players?
No, that's a Paul Riley experiment. Pretty much everything that we do is from the great Paul Riley. So, yeah, I feel like we have a lot of different things that we can always pull out of the bag, and he prepares us really well. Just have to all remember the plays. That's the hardest part. I feel like execution is easier. Remembering the plays, a little bit tough.
I feel like you guys are such good actors too, because it could literally be either of you. You like fake it. I'm like, who's going to take it?
Yeah, faking it out. Faking everyone out.
You're like, I forget who does it anyway, but I'll go.
Seriously, we have to talk about it before. We're like, is it you or is it me? I can't remember.
So we mentioned this before our conversation started. We gave a little bit of your background. So you played for FSU. Well, before that, you grew up in Florida. So Florida has always been your place of, developing and soccer and growing up. So you stayed around, played at FSU, then were drafted to what was then the Seattle Reign, played for Orlando, and then you landed here with the Courage. So what has been the biggest difference in your transition to the Courage after playing for so many different teams?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being with different players and different coaches, everyone has their own style of coaching and playing. So I can't really say one's better than the other, but I will say that I do fully feel like I fit in here under Paul Riley and under his system. He allows the outside backs just to go forward and do their thing. And I think that a lot of times before I was defending a lot. So obviously I am a defender, but sometimes, when you're a defender, you want to do a little bit of attacking. And I feel like he gives us free reins to be flying forward and doing things like that, getting crosses off, just helping the team score goals. So I think that that's probably the best part about Paul Riley's system, is just that he allows us to get forward, and Merritt and all the outside backs here. In training, it's good because I feel like as I'm getting forward, the other outside backs from the other team are allowed to get forward. So I'm defending out crazy good outside backs. So we have so many amazing players here that I think training prepares us the most.
Yeah, I wish I had your numbers of your mileage of the games, because I'm sure you were just putting in the miles out of all the times you're running up and down the field. It's just I'm exhausted just watching you.
Yeah, it's a little tough sometimes, but hey, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, you just started with the Courage earlier this year, so I feel like just from an outsider's perspective, you've, like you said, really gelled with the team so well. What is that sort of your personality, since you had to switch with teams frequently, or is that just the nature of the Courage culture, just really bringing people in, and you guys have just gelled so well?
Yeah, I will say before I got to the Courage, being on other teams and going against them every now and then, you can just tell that they're a close-knit family. And I think that obviously when you're in this profession, you can get traded at any point. So I think you have to sort of get used to being able to be open to meeting new people and to going new places, and vice versa. How it feels when you're a new person. You also want to take people in when you're a little bit older. So I do feel like when I got here, I connected with the team really well, just because there's so many amazing personalities and people in this team that just brought me right in. And I felt like it was home right away.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness. So it clearly shows you guys on and off the field how well you've gelled. So speaking of things you're working on off the field, which I guess applies to on the field, but you've partnered with Nike because you're a Nike athlete, right? And so what is this project that you've been working on in terms of cleats? And I don't want to give too much away, so you just tell us all about it.
Yeah. So being a Nike athlete, obviously I'm biased, but they're just such an amazing company. They're always looking for new and improved ways to help their athletes on the field, whether it's boots or equipment and things like that. So they just approached me and said, we're working on this new boot. It's going to be amazing. It's for people who might have trouble tying their shoes or just want to get back in the game quick if their shoe is untied. So when they brought this idea to me, my mind was blown. I could not believe that they could think of something so amazing. And I'm the one that literally takes forever to tie my shoes, and I didn't even think of it. I'm like, to have people that work in this company that think of things like that when it doesn't even really affect them is just incredible. So when they came to me about the idea, I was so impressed and so excited and intrigued to see all the different things that they can make with a boot. And it just became better and better. They sent me tons of new boots and asked me, what can be better? How can we help this boot continue to be the best? And we worked closely, a lot of us together, and I got to do a lot of Zoom calls with them, and I got to train in the boots, which was really cool. Because I feel like when you look at a boot or anything, it's easy to say how amazing it is and how beautiful it is, but how it feels on your foot is what matters the most, especially when you're a professional soccer player. So I was able to train in them and just help Nike have this boot become one of the best in the world. And I don't think anyone else has ever done it, which is incredible to be part of something that no other company has ever done. So it was an absolute honor. I was so blessed to be able to work on this with them. And I just feel so lucky.
Well, you're incredibly humble about it, because that is such a huge deal, getting obviously to work with such a massive company. So just going back to you growing up, what did that mean to you as a limb difference advocate? What does that mean for you that a company like Nike is trying to be more inclusive in their products and they want you to be a part of it?
Yeah, I think I feel like I've talked about this story a lot, but it's probably the best way to describe it. When I was younger, I never wanted to be different. And that's sort of how my parents taught me, is that, you can do everything else that anyone else can do. And no matter if you have one arm or two arms. And so I think that I never wanted to stand out. I just wanted to be a good soccer player. I wanted to be
so popular. It's Nike calling.
My dad. Yeah, I never wanted to stand out for anything other than being a good soccer player. And I think that that was really hard for me growing up, because obviously people staring at you and things like that, it is tough because it shows that you are different. But, it clicked in college when my mom was like, you could be an advocate for this. And instead of, not wanting anyone to speak about it, not wanting to do interviews about it, now I get the opportunity to do interviews about it and get to speak about it. And that really switched my mindset completely. And so being able to be a part of something like that is just, it's so incredible. And I remember when they first sent me the boot, I was just in awe of how a company could come up with something so amazing. And I do appreciate that they're so inclusive all the time. I do feel like it's a company that's forever changing, but always getting better. And I think that I'm so lucky. I can't say it enough. I'm honestly just feel so lucky and blessed to be able to be a part of something, even if it's a small part in a company like Nike.
I have chills just hearing you talk about it, how humble you are about it, but just how cool of an opportunity that is. And, the whole story, I can't wait to see it come out and for all the athletes to wear it and show it off. So talking about, we've talked about your journey and people who have supported you, your family members, and obviously teammates that have become your best friends and family members. We actually have a little surprise for you, maybe even a surprise guest that I would like to bring on.
Oh my gosh. Surprise. I don't know why I felt like I started crying almost. Oh,
it's been so long since I've seen you.
It's been forever. I miss you.
I was about to ask, who's really been your teammate to support you along the way? I was like, I hope she says Savannah.
Well, imagine. Definitely. I don't know. I can't really think of anyone.
Nobody comes to mind, really.
Yeah, not really.
I haven't been with someone for a long time.
All right. So for everyone watching and listening to this little surprise, Havana Salon has joined us. She is another midfielder for the North Carolina Courage, also joined the team very recently. But Carson and Havana have such a deep history together. You guys have played on numerous teams together. You guys are laughing, probably thinking about all the memes. But tell us about the first time you guys ever met, because I know you go way, way back.
Do you want to go?
Sure. The first time we met was actually playing tennis against each other. And, I think since we've been friends, I think I've always never, because Carson is so capable of doing everything, the fact that she only has one arm has just never really been something that I almost notice. And I remember when we were playing tennis against each other, and she, to serve it, will balance the ball on the racket and throw it up. So I'm on the other side of the court and I'm like, is that legal? I'm not even thinking she has to throw it up like that. I'm thinking because we were probably 12 or 13. Yeah, 12. We were young. And I was like, I'm not sure that's fair.
Qualified.
I'm like, point deduction. She has to throw it up. So yeah, the very first time that we even kind of encountered each other was playing tennis. And then we kind of, after a couple of tennis tournaments, we're like, oh, she plays soccer too. And we were from the same kind of area, but we were never on the same soccer team. And then she played for a club team. She's younger than me. And we were both playing up. So then we both went to our proper age group. So I went to her club team and we still missed each other. But we were very just in and around the same team. And then when she got drafted to Seattle, I remember my mom was like, you should really reach out to Carson. She's going to be new. And I was like, oh, Mom,
she breaks the rules. No.
Yeah, no. And then I remember going to coffee with Carson in Seattle. And I think since then we just it was like an instant connection.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I feel the same. The second we met, it was like we knew each other forever and we have never really spoken that much.
Yeah.
Which is obviously in you're moving team so much. It's just so special to find a really good friend, especially right off the bat.
Yeah, I feel like that's huge, especially when you're a rookie as a professional. You're like, oh, I need someone to, click with and have that mentor, but also peer. You're like, oh, what are we doing? Was that as hard as it was? What is going on? So that's awesome that you guys had each other, obviously, for your first. Was that both of your first seasons as professionals?
It was my second. Technically my first. I broke my leg my first year, so I was out for the whole year. Nice. So then I came back to Seattle for year 2, but was kind of year 1 because I didn't even make it to season. I was in preseason. So it was kind of really year 1 for me too.
Wow. So you played on Seattle together and then you went over to Cyprus? Well, you guys are both laughing. What was that experience like for both of you? And what was the team you played for?
We played for Apollon Ladies. It was an experience. Okay. I remember getting there first and Havana was coming. No, first off, I remember Havana texting me and I was like, oh, I really want to play somewhere. Like we have this time off. Blah, blah. She's like, you have to come to Cyprus. So all of a sudden I just get all these pictures of how beautiful Cyprus is. And she's like, definitely trying to persuade me to go. And I was like, well, I mean, why wouldn't I? Like you're there. It looks beautiful. I'm there. So I get there first and I land, and I actually thought that we were going to be playing in games. That's why we went over there, was to play in league games and stuff. And so I find out that we're not actually there for league games. We're there to play pretty much 1 or 2 games the entire time we're there, which is like not a lot and not the reason we came. So I texted Havana and I was like, I don't know if you know this, but we're not playing league games. Like the reason we came over here is now shattered because that's not what we're doing. And so she was like, are you kidding me? Whatever. So she was landing in probably like 24 hours, like a day later. And she got there, and the hotel we were quarantining there's not many visitors. It was a little.
There was nobody in the hotel but us.
And this was during COVID.
Yes.
During COVID.
Wow.
So we were supposed to have 2 rooms, literally sharing the wall. We're like, no, we have to room together. God forbid. So we're in this little room quarantining together. And I remember our first outing was to go get groceries and coffee. And I was there first, so I knew how hot it was. Oh, Savannah. I didn't think she was going to make it back from the grocery store because we had to walk, and it was 100 and something degrees. And she's like, I'm not going to make it. She's like, I don't know if I can do this.
I've grown up in Florida. I've never been so hot in my entire life. And like Carson could see me on the way home, like shutting down. And I could tell she knew that I was like angry. She's like kind of trying to be like lighthearted and like talk a little bit and just like keep rambling. Meanwhile, I'm like seeing red. I'm like, Carson, like I need to get out of this heat. I'm like melting and I'm like getting angry, and Carson's just like sitting next to me. We get back to the hotel and I was like, we will never make that walk again.
Ever.
Yeah.
Never be outside except for training.
Yeah.
I will starve before I walk to the grocery store.
So yeah, I mean, we could go on for days, but it was an experience. It's not what we expected it to be at all. The good news is that we had each other.
Right.
Don't think I would have made it through if I didn't have her or our other friend, Cassie Miller.
Wow.
Just because it's a lot different than America.
Especially during a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not the same. So all in all, it was definitely an experience. It was a learning experience, a growing experience. I feel like I aged in maturity about 15 years because there's a lot of things that were against us, and thank goodness we just had each other to pull through.
Yeah. When you go through times like this, tough or great times, I'm curious how you both balance each other out, because I think I've heard you both on different podcasts, and you describe your personalities very differently in terms of like what you do when you first wake up in the morning and how your eating style. So how would you describe the way you guys balance each other out as friends and teammates?
I think the way that we are individually is very different when we come to like difficult times. So for me, I'm like, okay, like what can we do in this time? How can we eat better? And Carson's like, we just like need to also like smile and laugh a little bit. So I feel like Carson does a good job of like keeping like the mood up.
Positive vibes.
I think I can get very like serious and quiet and like into myself, whereas Carson's like sitting there like, let's go to the beach, it's pretty, and I'm like, I don't feel like it, it's hot, and she's like, oh my gosh, let's just go. And so I think we have this balance of like me doing like the boring stuff and Carson like keeping it like, like a reminder that like, no, even though the situation isn't what we expected, it is not what we wanted, and it's like tough, that there are still things we can get from it. So I think that's a good way we balance each other. And I think from the beginning, we've always just had this connection that like keeps things light. Both, Seattle and Cyprus, I think were kind of tough times for both of us. But when we're together, we seem to make like the best of the hardest times. I would say this is the first time in North Carolina that we've both been in like a good place, and we haven't necessarily needed that like, okay, come on, like we can like laugh so we cry kind of mindset. Whereas like Cyprus was kind of like, if we don't laugh at this, we are just going to sit here and cry.
We did cry a little bit.
But we may have maybe cried a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm so dramatic, and she's so down to earth and chill. And I don't know, like everything about us is different, I feel like, besides like our mindset about soccer and wanting to be like the best in our sport and things like that. And our drive to be better every day.
Your perfect messy buns. You both have very On point buns, I had to say.
We do get called sisters a lot because of the buns. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, our personalities are so different that it works perfect.
Oh, well, you guys are perfect friendship match. I love it. Well, speaking of, that can be our little segue. You're probably wondering why I asked you to bring a pen and paper. So we're going to do a little friendship quiz. And these are actually going to be for Carson's, but I'm going to have you both write down your answer of what you think it's going to be multiple choice. So there's 3 choices. You're going to write down, Carson, you're going to pick your choice, and Havana's going to choose which one she thinks you're going to choose. So for those watching on the video, you'll be able to see them do the reveal. And if you're listening on the podcast, obviously we will react and let you know if they got it right or not. No pressure here. All right. So you have your pen and paper ready?
Ready.
All right. We'll start out light here. What is Carson's coffee order? What will be her go-to coffee order? Oh, you guys are already writing down. I didn't even give you your 3 choices.
Oh,
I'm just staring like, what would it be? Okay, well, I have 3 choices for you, so listeners can also play along if they think they know. So our choices are, this is hilarious. You probably already have it written down. Iced vanilla latte with double pump. A black coffee because she doesn't like it sweet, likes it very, bland, or tea because she doesn't even like coffee. So the iced vanilla latte, a black coffee, or tea. All right. Well, we will reveal in 3, 2, 1. The latte. Both of you got it.
We had a lot of coffee dates in both Cyprus and Seattle. So
a lot.
I was about to say, I said the question, you guys went to town, and I was like, I didn't even read.
I forgot it was multiple choice.
Me too. You guys are so ready for it. Okay. Staying on the food and drink train, Carson's go-to snack. Is it a bagel, or is it veggies and hummus and healthy things, or an acai bowl?
I'm getting exposed.
Havana definitely didn't give me any inspiration for any of these. Definitely not. All right. Revealing in 3, 2, 1, go. Bagel across the board.
The other day I called her. I was like, is there like any suggestions of like good vitamins I can take? She goes, yeah, veggies. A bagel is nothing. It does nothing for you. I'm like, well, I did not call for you to get mad at me. I just had a question.
Drives past me the next day with a pizza, and I was like,
good. Glad you listened.
Good talk.
You're like, tomato sauce, vegetable. We're getting there.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we got 2 more. Carson's favorite off-day activity. This one might be tougher because you have to pick one. So is it playing with her dog? Is it going to the gym to get some extra reps? Or is it binging reality TV shows?
Ooh.
This one's going to be a test. I know. I'm curious about this one. Havana's ready. Carson doesn't even know. Gotta pick one.
Oh, my poor pup.
I guess we know which answer she's not going with. All right, whenever you're ready. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, dang it.
I have to say, Carson,
Havana?
how many times have I FaceTimed you on off day and you're like, I've just been laying here talking to Ozzy. I'm like,
You're so right. No, that was on me. That's on me.
For those listening, Havana had playing with dog, and Carson, what was yours? The
binging, which
I do, but I play with Ozzy while I'm binging it. So that was
a loophole. It's a loophole. Okay. There he is. All right. For those lucky viewers that are watching the video, you got a nice little cameo. What are you binging right now?
Love Island.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Which country are they in?
So UK.
Okay. I'm in where they're in South Africa.
Oh.
I think it's like the second to last. I don't know.
Oh.
We'll talk about this offline.
No, we'll talk about that later.
All right. Last one. If Carson wasn't a professional soccer player, would she be an ESPN sports reporter, an Instagram influencer, or a cook? I'm feeling cook. I'm feeling after all of our conversations.
A bagel is difficult to cook. It is not easy.
It's hard to put the butter on.
Takes special talent. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. ESPN sports reporter. Look out. Carson, coming to your next TV.
All right, because that was my fault, the other one.
I can't help that I know you better than you know yourself.
Exactly. That is, if that's not the truest thing she's ever said, I don't know what it is.
All right. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. We could play this for hours, I'm sure. But Havana, Carson, thank you so much for joining. Havana, appreciate the little surprise cameo.
Of course.
And thanks for joining Courage on the Pitch, episode 4. And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up on Courage on the Pitch.
All right. Thanks so much to Carson and Havana for joining us. That was super fun. So to preview a couple of the games coming up for the Courage, they will be away facing off against New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC up in New Jersey this Saturday, August 7th. They kick off at 7 p.m. on Paramount Plus. Be sure to mark your calendars for that exciting matchup. And then our men's side, NCFC, they play Thursday night. So if you're listening, this Thursday night, they'll face off against New England. That'll be at 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then they will return home on Tuesday, August 10th. Quick turnaround there to face Chattanooga. That's also airs on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. So mark your calendars for all the things. Get your tickets online for North Carolina FC games, as well as the Courage matches coming up soon. So thanks so much again, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Courage on the Pitch is sponsored by Wake Orthopedics Urgent Care. Courage on the Pitch with Megan O'Keefe is part of the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, with new shows available every Thursday on WRALSportsFan.com or wherever you get your podcasts.